Good afternoon, everyone. Bobby Cleveland here with you today, along with Representative J.J. Humphrey, and we have been. I don't know how you'd say it, but we've had a lot of calls this week. I don't know about you, J.J., but there's been a lot of action, and we continue having the death in the prison. I think I have four. I don't know if that's how many it is or
Yeah,
not.
I'm not sure, Bob. I'm somewhere between 3 and 5. Again, if we could get any information from DOC, then we could confirm all this. But somewhere on the unofficial reports, we're between 3 and 5. I would say 4 probably is the answer.
I hear something that has aggravates me and aggravated me for a long time. Is we can have assaults on officers and nothing's never heard about it. They try to cover it up. Whereas the officers deserve that, so when people understand how they work, the job they have, how dangerous it is.
Bob, it's not just about recognition for that officer. It's about that people understand. Now, when a trooper gets stabbed, if a trooper got stabbed, and just for the listeners, what me and Bob are talking about, we spent the last week. I've called the hospital and I've called all over trying to get this officer's name that was stabbed in the femoral artery about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Now, Bob, getting stabbed in the femoral artery, even if it's a 3-inch cut, you know what I'm saying? When you stab that artery, you can bleed to death. That's a main
Or
artery.
if they stab anywhere, if they're stabbing you anywhere.
If you get stabbed, can you imagine a highway patrol gets stabbed? Do you think you'll never hear that? That'd be on the news every 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying, Bob? And the reason they do that, they let people know that those officers are out there risking their life. But what does DOC do with it?
Cover it up.
You can't even find out the guy's name. A representative, a state representative, can't even find out the officer's name that was stabbed. Now
Well,
that's
how many assaults we have? I mean, really lost count. How many assaults do you show that
Bob,
we have?
unofficial count that I got, and again, try to call all around, try to find out all this stuff. Guess what? Unofficial count, I'd say 15. 15. Now, Bob, if you remember, my unofficial count for October was 17. And so the unofficial count today is 15. So I guess Harpe bragging that he's brought them down. I guess, would that be 14%? I don't know. But for Harpe to brag at the beginning of the year, closing out 24, starting 25, we've dropped violence down. We're not even talking about inmate on inmate violence. We started this program by saying we had 4 deaths. You know what I mean? There's no violence down. 4 deaths is almost one every other day. It is one every other day.
Well, it's certainly not getting any better, and the officers deserve recognition for continuing doing their duty, and with no recognition from the director. He can go out there and get a new building, get him a fancy office, help his ego.
Bob, it's funny you say that. Let me see if I can pull something up on phone. Now, the other day, I don't know if I've told your listeners this. I know you know this. Me and you talked about it. But several months ago, the department wrote me and said that I can no longer, they said by agreement with House leadership, that I can no longer receive records, that I would have to go to the headquarters to view records, that I'd be unable to copy them, and that I would have to sign a non-disclosure saying that I wouldn't talk to anybody about anything I've seen. And the reason is that I'd released non-public information. Now, I have, they sent me another one when this Ross kid died, when the inmate Ross died. I wrote and said, I'd like to have all these records. And they wrote me back, JJ, we done told you we got an agreement with House leadership. Excuse my cough today.
Now, how can they have an agreement to take away your rights?
Bob, it's a open records violation. I mean, they put in writing. I wrote them and said, I think it's humorous that y'all openly admit to violating the Open Records
Act.
and that you conspire with the House leadership, my own House leadership, to violate the Open Records Act. And even more, not only violate it, but to make sure that I don't report, an elected official doesn't report to the public. That's even in more insane. But Bob, what they wrote is humorous. Because what I did an official, what do you call that?
Open records request.
Records request. So when I asked them about this agreement, do you have a copy of this agreement? Guess what their answer was? No records responsible.
Nothing.
No record. Can you identify who you made this agreement with? No record responsive. Now I got multiple emails saying it. So here's the deal. They're going to claim this, but then when you call them on it, oh, no records. No, because they're going to come back and go, well, it was verbal. Well, I didn't ask you whether it's verbal or not. I said, identify who you have this agreement with. Well, guess what? No records. Now they think that's wait till you get in court and see if that'll work, because it won't. But they'll say, well, this was records requested. We don't have a record because it's all done verbally, is what they're going to say. But Bob, let me see if I have this. Well, here's a couple. Records verifying legislative approval to acquire a downtown headquarters as required by law. Okay, you're required by law to get it done because they're spending hundreds of thousands. I think they spend $100,000 a month, Bob, something like that. Now, guess what they said?
What'd they say?
No record responsive. Meaning, that's their way of going, we broke the law. We didn't go ask. It's easier to ask for forgiveness. That's the DOC way. That's what they train you when you go in.
But what they're saying that they answered you. They weren't answering you at all. They're ignoring you. Now they're just answering you that
their answer is we don't have any record of it. Which no, they don't have any record of it. You know why? Because they didn't do it. Now here's the one I love. Records verifying that the director's salary, as of what date was the $90,000 raise approved and by what authority? Now, Bob, they wrote me back a little while ago saying, JJ, this is the last time we're going to answer this. Here's the answer. And they gave me the law that says that the governor has the authority to raise it. And again, the governor is one of the ones that have the authority. Legislators have the authority. Yes, I looked up the law. I sent the law to them. It said one of these three can give you a raise. Just send me the document showing they did it. Guess what their response was when I asked the formal, give me by what authority and give me the document that shows. So if the governor is great, just give me the document, because here's the deal. I want all our listeners to understand. Yes, Stephen Harpe is the director right now, but the director's salary is set. When Stephen Harpe is gone, guess what? Whoever comes in gets the director's salary. When Director Crow left, Stephen Harpe stepped in on $185,000 salary. That's what the salary was. Now it's $275,000. I want to see by what authority, not with Stephen Harpe's pay raised, by the pay raise that the director's pay raise. Stephen Harpe is the director. He receives director's pay. Now you ain't
in policy. That's what not 175 or 180, whatever it is. It's right in policy.
Well, and here's the deal. Guess what? No record responsive. They have no record showing that he was given a $90,000 raise. Now that's what they're saying. Now guess what that is, Bob? It's investment.
Sound good.
If I as a legislator go find me a $90,000 and I say I am undercompensated, I'm the hardest working legislator up there, I want $90,000, and somehow I cipher $90,000 off to me with no authority, no record, no nothing, I'm going to be charged with embezzlement. And guess what? He's no different. He is embezzling funds unless he can kind of come up, which is going to be funny, Bob, because I got him on film at the last budget hearing saying, no, I just transferred my salary from OMES to DOC. Well, you can't do that. That's not legal.
Right.
So I got him on film saying that. Now I got him saying no records responsive. We have no record. Ain't it gonna be funny if he all of a sudden, oh, I got this record? Then are you lying and keeping records from me?
Well, are you lying then or are you lying now?
Exactly. And the deal is, we know it's going to be made up after the fact. You know what I'm saying? If he had it, he would have produced it a long time ago. So, Bob, I got question after question like that. Questions on inmate Ross's where they oh, we can't answer this question. They basically didn't answer anything. I laughed. One of the questions that I asked, total funds paid out to the law firm to represent the department for FYI 23 and FYI 24, previously filed by G.C. Hawkins. Okay, and what I'm asking is, what cases did they represent with outside counsel, Bob? Which again, why I'm asking that is because we got a friend that they told, but they didn't tell me. And what they write is that they already sent this out. They never sent it to me. I've never received this. And I know the answer.
You asked for it, but you never received it. You got it secondhand.
Yeah, I know somebody they sent the same response to, but I didn't get it because, look, sending it to somebody else, I don't have a record of it. I need it myself. I want the record. So she's like, well, we already sent this to OCP, which is...
Well, are they stupid or what?
Boy, their lawyer is. I completely think their lawyer's a nut. But what they don't realize is I'm just documenting how they refuse. Let's see. Any and all firearm training and record for the director of the Department of Corrections and what weapons he has been authorized to carry. The agency has a security interest in keeping confidential records regarding inventory control, storage, location, assignment, firearms, and all on all employees. Now, that's funny because I asked. Now they say that. Keep that, Bob, in your mind. They just said we're not going to release confidential records on employees. So I said, copy of the video produced requiring to be viewed by the department employees, which was presented by the director of the Department of Corrections, claiming that Justin J.J. Humphrey was a poor employee and never promoted. Now, I know they got that video, Bob. I've had too many people tell me they've seen it. What do you think their answer to that?
What is it?
No record responsible.
Well, JJ, let me ask you, do you think that they're just incompetent or do you think they're just lying?
Well, Bob, I would say that anybody that answers those two questions back to back, when I'm asking them about the director's record and they say, well, for security purposes, we can't release any information. And then they turn right around and on me go, well, we don't have a record of that, which means we either destroyed it or we're not answering the question. Because again, you know, if I need to, I'll trot people who are employees. Hey, if any of y'all are employees and would write me and say you saw that video, just write me. I'd love to have 20 letters going, hey, here it is. They forced me to watch that video. We know it happened.
Well, JJ, you recall in my meeting with Harpe, I guess it's been 2 years now.
Yeah.
He said that he didn't want anybody looking over his shoulder. He didn't want to answer any questions. He wants to do he's going to do what he wants to do. He didn't have to answer questions. So in other words, he's saying I don't have to follow the law. I don't have to open letter requests. I don't want to take. I'm going to do what I want to do and run the way the way I want to run it without any. That's not the way government works. They have to have oversight.
Right.
They got to be transparent.
Well, Bob, I could pull around here somewhere in my desk. I've got a memo that the Department of Corrections, if you'll remember, we come out and kind of chimed on him for traveling all the time back in August. I can tell you when it was. It was in August. And we got on him for, travel, that he's going all the time. He's a disaster,
Wasting money.
disaster. And Bob, we got on him on the travel, boy. We raked it on him. Well, I don't think it's any accident that right after we did that, he come out with a memo saying that he had only traveled 9 times in 8 months and that he had only spent 5,000 some odd dollars. Well, I got on there and responded to that the next week and said, Director, you forgot about ACA. You didn't put the ACA. We know it's a lot more than that, Director. Well, apparently Fox 25 or 23 was watching us because they called me and said, how do you know all this? and I laughed. I said, the director ain't got as good of friends as he thinks he does. I will tell you, Director, I'm telling you, most of your staff can't stand you. I just tell you that. I hate to break that bubble because I know you think you're the most well-liked man in the world. In your own mind, you're a legend. I get it, but people don't like you, okay? And so I get a lot of information. And so I told him, hey, I got it right there practically off his desk. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, we rock along there, and they come and interview me, and I thought they wasn't going to run the story. And the next day, bam, they come out and said it was $30,000 something. Well, Bob, just so I would have, and again, so if their legal staff's watching or anybody's watching, guys, I can go back to the news media and get that report. It's not that hard to pull up. I can prove all that. I'm just asking you to help me do my job and not make me work so hard. So I asked them about, and it turns out they're going, so I said, total paid travel, FY 23, they've got director $230, 0 accompanied, director 7,000, between 7,000 and 3,515 reimbursement. That's a hell of a between, Bob.
It sure is. That's a big number.
Yeah, that's a hell of a between. 35,554. Then 24, we got that was 24. So then 23, they have 30,820, 32, 16 attendances, and another 10,505 attendances. Bob, in the criminal justice business, when we're investigating something and you see that kind of discrepancy, because we didn't call him out on 23, we called him out in 24. And we know that he had 9 deals, and we know that he had 5,000. So now they're saying
$35,000 in travels expense.
3,000. So on 23, they're saying the director's pay was, that what they reimbursed was $3,000. No, 23, it was $230. $230, Bob. In 24, it was $7,000 reimbursement. Employees was 11,000. So they're saying that in 24-ish, it was roughly, what would that be? 18,000, something like that. Some close to $18,000. But yet, when you come down here to 23, 30,000, then 24 on group. They're saying group. So these are travel expenses by the group. And it was 10,000 in 24. So let's see, 24, you would have reimbursed him 16. So that's still getting up around $30,000, Bob. Either way, we caught him square out, flat ass lying.
Well, ask again, do you think they're incompetent, or do you think they're just lying?
Both. I think mainly they're just lying. Though the Director Harper, it's probably Bob. I don't know if everybody knows it. I had 2 interviews yesterday with news media. JJ, why do you file frivolous bills and some of these crazy bills that you file? You know, they're like the furries of Bigfoot. Well, guess what? Bigfoot end up making us. People now say I'm a genius because I run Bigfoot. And no, I just knew it would help our economy.
But it's never a bill.
Oh, everybody likes Bigfoot. It helped our economy. I ran the furries because I wanted to start a conversation. Guess what, people? When I first started that, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. That ain't happening.
That's
3
what
days.
I've heard.
Yeah. So I sent Bob down to the Bob. What was that embassy that I sent you down? Yeah, that was funny. You can't plan that, Bob. You cannot plan. You run a furry bill, and the next week they have a furry convention in Norman, and I had to call Bob up at night and say, Bob, get up, go down to the embassy, take pictures. Now, Bob, he was reluctant to go, but I talked him into going down there, and I will say we need to get Bob some training on taking pictures. He got the pictures. We have pictures of the furries, but I think he could have done a little better job on taking them pictures. But Bob, and now people are going, hey, that's true.
I didn't think it was real.
Worldwide attention. That was going on every news station, and we showed that going on. And guess what? Across the world, a lot of this stuff got shut down. I never ran the bill. I never even got it in committee. I knew they wouldn't let that with that. I put that they had to be put in a pound, and people just thought I'd lost my mind. But nobody would have talked about it had I not put that part in there. Now, Bob,
Right.
I throwed a bill on the other day that apparently is making a little people mad, but I said I wanted to change the name of the Department of Corrections.
Yeah.
And I said I want to change it to the Department of Corruption.
Yeah.
Now, if you work for the Department of Corrections, you've heard that 1,000 times, but the rest of the public hadn't heard that. So when I put that out there, do I intend to run that in my top 8 and actually run that? No. Let me tell you why I ran it. Let me tell you why I said to these news people.
But you know what, JJ? You're not far off.
Bob, that's what I said. I told these news people, I said, what are you doing right now? What are you doing right now? And they said, what do you mean? I said, what are you asking me about? And they said, about this corruption bill. I said, changing the name. I said, exactly. So now me and you are talking about the Department of Corrections, and we're talking about the Department of Corrections being corrupt. And guess what? I hope that all the news people pick that up, and that I get to go on all the news channels talking about this is the most corrupt administration. This is the most corrupt director I have ever witnessed in my 35 years of being very closely connected with the Department of Corrections, working for them, working with them, working around them, having a very, very close and upfront seat, watching the Department of Corrections 35 years, hands down, walk away. Nobody can touch him. The biggest master of disaster, biggest liar, and biggest corruptest individual that I've seen in corrections, and that is saying something. Guess what? It's Stephen Harpe. And that's what I'm going to be doing with that bill. So if y'all see that out there and you think I've lost my mind, I never had my mind. I'm just working on being able to have a conversation about how corrupt the Department of Corrections is.
The real sad part is the correction officers get the bad end of the deal, where they work hard on their feet all day long, no breaks, no lunch, and they work very difficult. What they have to do, get urine thrown on them, they get cussed out all day long, every day. And what do? Harp's worried about going out and getting on a plane and flying someplace with a group of his fellow employees. Now I've heard, and I probably shouldn't even say what I heard because I can't say it's true or not, but there was a lot of drinking and partying going on after the hotels they go to.
Well, Bob, his buddies have told me that. Again, we can't verify it, so I ain't gonna say it is or ain't true.
Right.
That's what the people.
That's the gossip. That's the gossip in town.
That's rumor, but I have zero problem believing it, and the way it's put to me that he brags about it. It's not just that he does it, but he comes back and that he brags to all the employees employees about it. And again, I mean, if that's his business, they want to go out party, and the question is, you're going out and you're partying with your employees. Are some of those female employees? Are you in their room? Are they in your room? There's a lot of questions as an investigator that I would love to start asking. And Mr. Harp, if you don't think that all that can be easily, I mean, that's easily verified if we wanted to work at it. If I wanted to quit my job and just go investigating, boom, we can. And again, Bob, if we're going to go by rumors, it's rumored that that he's possibly done that to other folks. I don't know if he has. Don't really care. But you know what I'm saying? People who live in glass huts ought not to throw stones, is what I would say. Bob, I did a little bit of math here on my old calculator. So if we are paying for this new illegal that he didn't get approval for, downtown office, $100,000 a month is what I hear.
That's not downtown.
Is it not downtown? I thought it was.
No, I thought it was over on Lincoln Boulevard.
Where at?
Down there somewhere. Maybe it could be downtown. I don't know.
Hey, serious. Where is the Oklahoma Department of Corrections? I almost said corruption. Hold on, forget that, Siri. I almost said corruption, Bob. I got that in my mind. Hey, Siri, rub that out. Okay. Hey, Siri, where is the Oklahoma Department of Corrections headquarters located in Oklahoma City? Well, it did a little drop. It doesn't have the address.
They still show it over on Martin Luther King.
It says it's 118 miles from me. Now, serious now, boy, ain't that something? But Bob, it's $100,000 a month. Guess what? If you put in 3,600 employees, it shows that would be about $1,111 per employee that we could have gave them a raise with that money.
Wait a minute, JJ. He doesn't look at it that way. He doesn't look at how much money he could pay the employees. He's looking at how he can have a better place to be more in person, nicer location because of his ego. So he does all that. He says it doesn't matter about the employees. He cut the employees down. He cuts them down. Don't have enough employees, so he can save money, so he can have a better office.
Well, Bob, he fires anybody. He just fires anybody that every one of them's worried about being fired, and he fires and then he goes hire people from OMES that he has no.
Well, I've heard the rumor that the girl that was at Oklahoma County Jail, which is a total mess, that he has hired her over at DOC. Now I don't know if it's true, but why would you hire somebody that came from a place that was a total mess?
Well, I actually got an email last night or a text message saying that she had been hired over there, and we were talking about possibly a connection for her over there. And, again, that was pretty much confirmed. So I don't, and I'm going to still call it a rumor because me and you don't actually know, but on my checks that I was told that is true. And so again, I don't know, Bob, why would you?
Everybody knows that there's problems at the Oklahoma County Jail, and that management there has not been as good as it should have been. I don't think that's good.
Bob, they're known as the worst jail in the nation. They're the most violent jail in the nation, is my understanding. I guess because Director Harper has about the same quality, she'll fit right over there.
Well, I guess you're right about that. I'm sorry, I didn't think about that.
Bob, we're going to see if Sirius we're going to go around Siri and see if we can find out what address.
Now, in her defense, I would say that she's also gets a hard place to control and get running right. I'm certainly not going to say that she's a problem with all that, but it's a mess. They have something every month that goes on over there that's calls the
Let me
newspaper.
tell you what address they still show on. Now they've been gone.
Martin Luther King.
Yeah, they still show. So again, they don't even update, you know, where people can find them. That's amazing, Bob. That's amazing. You talk about incompetent. This is an incompetent bunch. Bob, I got a question for you. Something I wanted to ask you and just see if
Yeah.
you think that I'm losing my mind. You know, back in June, I don't know if you remember this. You were sick one day and couldn't come on, I think.
Right.
And I was on here, and Bob, I just want you to know it's very difficult to talk an hour by yourself.
Oh,
It's
you don't have any trouble with that.
Bob. It's not easy, Bob. But I was on here, and what was going on during that period of time was that the governor had come out and said enough is enough, talking about the Lawton Correctional Center.
Right.
And I
That
was
was
saying,
murder. Yeah.
yeah, and he was saying they had too many murders and they were out of control. And I was saying, Governor, I agree with you. It's enough's enough. But Governor, your boy Harpe has got worse. Guess what? Alan Gamble's worse than Lawton, and especially since they sent their new warden down there at Lawton, they have a problem. But Lawton was having a problem every week. I mean, multiple problems. They were
Right.
having them group disruptions. It's like going out of style, Bob.
You know what? Really be very straight. Uh, that warden that's at Lawton is probably one of the best.
Yeah, I mean, hey, there's no question.
Now
If
you
you
may not like him, you don't may not like the way he does stuff, or I may not like him, but he has a record of being one of the best.
Hey,
So,
Bob, you want to see the record? Look at what was going on 6, 7 months ago. Look at what's going on. Yeah, he's probably had 2 deaths or so, maybe 3 in between that time period. But man, they were having 2 or 3 deaths a week down there, you know.
now it's my understanding, I could be wrong, so you can correct if I'm wrong, that uh, we send our worst prisoners to Lawton.
Well, Bob, I don't know originally whether they were doing that, but I can tell you, just like this last little episode that happened at Allen Gamble, where they had 6 or 7, one of those group disruption things. You know, some people would call it if you have no institutional knowledge. You know, if you've only worked around it 35 years and you have no institutional knowledge, you would call it you know a mini riot. But having the great institutional knowledge like Kay Thompson and Harpe, they call it a group disruption. So that
Well,
group,
they still call when you escape from prison a walk off.
yeah, but they had 7 inmates. And again, what happens, they're sending all their mental health people down to Lawton, is what I understand. And they're sending all these people who are causing these group disruptances, little mini riots, to go down there. So, yes, I'm told that they're getting a lot of problem children down there and that they're dumping
Hey,
on.
let's talk about assaults on officers.
Well, Bob, one thing, hold on, just before we get to the assault on officers.
Hey,
I want to see, because if you'll remember, I come out and said, you know, I did that horse racing deal, like who's the worst, Lawton, Allen Gamble, Dick Connors, or because they're all, and I talked about having a photo finish. Oh, here comes this one around the corner, and they're about to pass all that. And anyways, we got Hinton, which my understanding is leased to us by who? I think Geo. Now I won't swear.
I look at that other one.
Do you think? I thought it was Geo Adam.
It could be.
I don't know. But then you have Lawton. But here's the deal. Hinton was rented, so we leased Hinton for a 2-year period. Now I don't know if we have a automatic renewal in that contract. I'd have to go back and look. But I know Lawton just did a 1-year contract. Now, Harpe has been bad mouthing them. The governor's been bad mouthing them, talking smack about them. You know, I can tell you Harpe would be, my dealings with Harpe, if I wouldn't deal with him. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't deal with him. I would be like, I'm done. Now, I'm pretty certain these private prisons are probably going to view my view more than You know, and maybe I'm mistaken. They may just go, well, the contract's good, so we'll deal with whoever. But here's what I'm saying, Bob. We got two prisons at risk of coming due, and you're talking about 3 to 4,000 inmates. Where are they going? If these prisons, private prisons, tell Harp, jump on a train, and even if they don't, you know what that leaves him at?
What?
The worst negotiating. Guess what? They can ask for whatever they want. What can he do? You want to talk about putting yourself in a stupid, stupid, stupid place, and the poorest negotiation place to be at. Very poor negotiation stand. And 10 to 1, if I was them, I wouldn't even mess with him because they can probably go elsewhere. Like with all the deportation stuff that's fixing to take place, I'd tell him go kick rocks. And
Hey, when you're a public, you're using the public's money. Does the public not have a right to know what you're doing with that money? Does the public not have a right to know how you're spending that money?
well, Bob,
That's
don't
why you have an open records request. But you can't go do everything you want to do like you're a private company and you're spending the public's money and wasting it.
Well, and Bob, here's what I'm saying. I understand keeping certain negotiation things private because you don't want to get charged extra money if something comes, and you don't want to put yourself in a poor negotiation place. But at the same time, like you're saying, the public has a right to know. And can you imagine being one of these parents or a spouse of one of these inmates that are sitting at one of these two facilities? And what happens to them? Where they go? Are they going to take them out of state? Because that's the first thing. And if you remember when we were arguing this last time, that's what they were talking about doing is going out of state.
Yeah, but right now on that situation, is they don't want anybody to know when they move a guy, they don't want to tell him where he's going. They don't want to tell anybody in the prison there we're taking this guy's over here or over there. It's secret, super secret where they're taking him.
Well, Bob, that's like on mine, you know, I am a representative and I'm having to file that speaks all. I have to file an open records request just to get simple answers. Do you have training to carry a weapon? Have you actually qualified to carry a weapon?
And you know what, JJ? That's why the Harp went over there to the house and wanted to get rid of you because we're reporting what happens in a public setting. This is a public. If you want to go and do all these things, go get your own business, but you don't do taxpayers' money and waste it. And that's exactly what they've done to you. Is Harp goes over there and he lies, and they take you off being chairman of public.
Well, Bob, I think that there's more to that agreement. When they're saying we reached an agreement, I think there's way more to the agreement than I just can't have records. And again, hey, Harp, I don't say things that I don't have the records for. I like to have records. I'm a records keeper. And you know what? I can prove that you said you want to do away with Bobby, and that if I didn't stop associating with Bobby and OCP, that you are not going to have anything to do with me. And that's when all this stuff started. And again, I can prove that. So you started after me because you were after OCP. We can prove you made those statements. You made those statements to Bob. Now you've come out and said you have an agreement. I can prove your meeting with leadership in private meetings, and I can prove that I was removed. I can prove that they said I'd get removed beforehand. Guess what? It looks like there was a lot to this agreement, and I'm going to be getting with a lawyer. And the fact that he put my private records out when right here they say, oh, we can't release private records. That's secure. That's security. Oh, yeah. Oh, but right around there. Oh,
they
well,
released it on you, though.
Yeah, not released. They put a video out, and everybody got to watch this. JJ didn't get promoted. Guess what? One of the questions I asked him, Bob, can you send me my promotions? Guess what? They sent my promotions. And that, when he said that, is a lie. I have had promotions when I worked for him. And so again,
let's get back over here to the assaults, because I know right now we're having more assaults than I can remember. I mean, 10 years, I can't remember having all these assaults.
Bob, unofficially right now this month, but now, Bob, here's the deal. Not this month. Something just came to me. Something just hit me, Bob. It don't happen. I had an epiphany, Bob. You know, in October, we had that meeting, and I said there was 17 in that month.
You're right.
17 in the month of October.
Yeah.
I'm saying there's 15, but guess what?
Yeah, you're wrong.
No. 15 in what?
A week.
A week, Bob. It's a week. It ain't even a month. 15 a week.
That's why I'm saying I've never seen it like this.
That's unbelievable,
Some
Bob.
of these were very serious assaults.
Bob,
Have they heard about it? Have they come out and said anything? Do they say anything about it? They want to cover it up.
I owe you an apology, Bob, because I was like, Bob, hold off on the.
Well, JJ, I knew what you said, and I didn't want to call you out here in front of everybody, but I knew that you was wrong. But
Bob, I don't believe that. I don't believe that because I think that if you had the chance to put it on me, I think you would have put it on. But yeah, Bob, that just hit me right there.
14
or 15. I
believe, if I'm not mistaken, 4 or 5 of those were very, very serious assaults.
Yeah, Bob, I've made some calls. I've made checks, and yeah, there was some very serious ones. And again, you know, a week and a half ago, whatever that happened, the young man, I was told a cadet, got stabbed in the leg, femoral artery, which we can't find the name on. I understand the hospital not giving the name. I'm not mad at the hospital for not giving us the name, but you would think DOC would come out and commend this young man for being stabbed and would tell the report of him being stabbed. Instead, you know what? I had to work just to confirm it, just to say I am certain that it happened. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I had to work to get that information. But Bob, 15 times 4.
Well, but can you see, as you look back, can you see now why he doesn't want to be transparent? Why?
Bob, if you're having 60 assaults on your staff a month, if that is a continuing, maybe we just had a crazy week. But Bob, if you said 15 a week, that's 60 a month. And if you had 60 assaults on staff, and again, when I reported those 17, that's just what I could call around and find out a month. Maybe people forgot.
But when he says, you know, I don't want to be I'm not going to be transparent. I'm not going to answer your questions. I don't want to look on my shoulder, and I want to get rid of OCP. I don't like unions. Well,
Yeah.
you see now why he wanted to do that, because he doesn't know what he's doing.
Well, I don't think that he could even plan that he was going to be that big of a disaster, Bob. I don't think in his own mind he thinks he's somebody special. Bob, I don't think that he intentionally, I think he just doesn't want to answer to nobody, period. I don't think he intentionally said on.
Well, he needs to get out of the public business then if he didn't want to answer, because this is the way it works. You're spending taxpayer dollars. We have a right to know what's happening.
Bob, I had to report to ethics the other day. I had a big fat lie told on me on an ethical situation.
Yeah.
You know what? That's just, hey, I'm a big boy. I can take it. I laugh at reporter come back in the other day. Bob wanted me to give him a statement. I'm like, get your lying ass out of here. I ain't talking to you. And, you know, that's your right. I don't have to talk to him when he falsely reports. Any other reporter, guess what? I had 2 reporters yesterday call me, Bob, and JJ, why do you do these frivolous? And I had to explain. And both of them, when I got through explaining, went, we never knew how all that operated.
Hey JJ, I didn't tell you this, but yesterday I was with a very influential person that's in the state of Oklahoma. I'm saying he's very influential. And he said, you know, one thing about JJ that we like about him, if you ask him, he'll tell you the truth. He'll tell you exactly like it is. He won't sugarcoat it. He'll tell you exactly what it is. You can depend on what you hear from a JJ Humphreys. And this was someone who I'm telling you is very influential.
Right.
One of the top people in the state of Oklahoma. And that's what
I figure I know who you're talking about, and I like that person, even though me and him disagree on how to, but that person will probably go much higher than I've ever Well, no question, they've already went higher than what I. If I'm thinking the same person.
Well, but I'm just saying this is that if Harp wants to do what he does and continue doing what he does, he needs to get out of the business and go to work for a private company and not using taxpayer dollars. But as long as he uses taxpayer dollars, we have a right to know what it is. It's our right to criticize him when he's wrong. And
Yeah,
it'd be
you know
nice if we could brag about him when he's right.
you know what? Here's my standard. Here's my measurement tool. When somebody is criticizing me, I step back and I ask myself one question: is what they are saying, is it true? If it's a lie, then I don't worry about it. It's a lie, and I just go on. People lie on you. It ain't worth your time fighting. If it's true, if what they're saying is true, then you need to step back and go, how do I fix that? Who do I need to apologize to? And how do I fix that? How do I correct that? Now, we've all made mistakes. We've all done stuff that we need corrected. And if you can't take correction, there's a pretty good book that talks about a fool is somebody who can't take correction. You know what I'm saying? And so, hey, I'm going to need corrected. I'm going to need straightened out. Every once in a while, Bob's right, like he was a minute ago, and I had to apologize. I had to back up and say Bob was right, and I had to correct myself.
What
Okay.
what do we have last week? Was it 4 deaths, or this past week? Was it 4 deaths or
Seven, I
three?
thought 6 or 7 deaths last week, and we got 4 this week, Bob, I think. So
So
what is
we're starting off the year really good.
Well, Bob, if we had 7 and there's 4, then that's what 11, and
Yeah.
we're sitting at what's today, 17th. So that's better than
Well,
one
we
ever.
had 5 right there between in December the 25th through the 5th of
We,
the
we,
month.
we didn't look on the first through the third. There may have been 1 or 2 committed there. I think where we were checking was because to explain to everybody what we're talking about. What we do is every week we start trying to check. So somewhere around Wednesday and Thursday, me and Bob will start. Who did you hear from? Who did you hear from? And we all have our sources, and we'll say, "Yeah, I got one at Lexington." He'll say, "Yeah, I got one at Lexington. We got one at Harpe. We got one at Harpe." In fact, there was 3 back to back at Harpe, if I remember. I can't. They're hard to keep up with, Bob. And so that's what me and Bob
Here's the thing about Hart. You used to never have an instance
never.
of that.
Those people,
That was the premier prison in the state of Oklahoma, maybe in the nation.
if you go talk to people like Ramsey, who used to work at Harpe, you know what? I think he worked at Harpe. I think Ramsey's.
Right. They worked with Hart.
Yeah. But those people brag. Those people took pride in not having any incidents at their facility. You know what I'm saying? And so they had low incident at their facility, and they were very proud of that. And now, guess what, Bob? I mean, it's just unbelievable what's going on. Howard McLeod was pretty much the same way. Had very few incidents at Howard McLeod.
Yeah, I don't understand that one. That's turned into be a hellhole.
Yeah, they have all kinds of.
They have walkaways.
Yeah, lots of walkaways down there.
You know what?
It's
What
a good place.
DOC is doing though, when they're saying that they've got all these figures are down, they just change the word, change the language in it, and call it something new, and that's how they'll come up with these low ratios.
It's covered up.
They're not honest. Basically, though, JJ, they're not honest.
Here's what's insane, Bob, because I'm getting calls, and I'll give you an example. They had an instance back a month or so ago at Allen Gamble where an officer was struck, assaulted, seriously assaulted, and they told him not to report it. It's what I was told. They had a guy stabbed in the jaw. I was told they said don't.
I know people who had urine thrown on them, and they told them not to report it. And
So-
isn't that a felony if you have someone throws urine on you?
Oh, it's a felony. Yes, it's called bodily fluids, exchanging bodily fluids, and especially if that person has
Now, can you imagine though, a director saying don't report it, that's just a non-deal, no big deal? How does that make that officer feel?
Well, Bob, the reason they do that is to keep these numbers down. And that's what I'm saying. Even with all the efforts that we're hearing that they're doing to keep the numbers down, we're still seeing a number of and again, I do want to tell people this is an unofficial number. It's an unofficial number, okay? Because me and Bob are not the official source, because these sons of bucks will not put out what they used to. Used to, they would send that out. It is a public record. It is a record for the public, but they won't put out. Now, if you don't believe that, just go to the newspaper here in Atoka and Atoka County, and guess what? Every week they will have on our whole paper is who got arrested, who got stopped, who got thrown in jail. It's not privileged information. Okay. These are charges. They can file charges on them. Just like that murder thing, Bob, they were going to do a little write up on a murder, not even file a felony charge. How many of those have been done? I think if we would start investigating this, I would say if we would start really looking at the Department of Corrections, I have no doubt it would be.
You know what, JJ? We get criticized because we bring the truth out. And you get criticized at the Capitol because you have found corruption at the Department of Corrections. He goes over there and talks to the representatives like, oh, they're lying. JJ didn't know what he's talking about. But you know what? I would like for them to tell us, show us what we have lied about.
Bob,
we try to just, all we can do is report what we hear. We don't make anything up. We don't go out and say, well, we're going to say this week. We want to report what we hear from the people inside the prison.
Bob, I got called by a really good reporter. I like him. I would consider him a good friend. And he called me and he said, JJ, your problem is you're into everything. You're calling too much out. And I said, yeah, but the question is anything I'm saying untrue? I am calling. I work all the time. I am on DHS. I am on the DAs. I am on DOC. I'm on OMMA. But the question is what I'm saying untrue? So what was funny, this reporter calls me back. Bob, you remember when we had the stabbing at Lawton and had the 80, 70 or something, and 8 times in the neck stuffed in trash can?
Yeah, he's cutting up. Yeah.
So he decided to check me out when we made that report. And he called me. He said, you're not going to believe this. He said, they won't give me the information. I said, well, call the medical examiner. He calls me back and he says, you think you'd recognize the name? Because there were 6 people killed at that one facility. He said, can you believe that? And I said, I think it sounds low. He goes, you got to be kidding me. So I tell him which one. He confirms it. He calls me back and he says, I would have never dreamed any of this is true. Since then, he has told me, he said, JJ, I can't believe everything you reported. We've never found one thing untrue. And now they've started checking me out. They've never found one thing untrue. Bob, and you know this, everything we go on, we very much confirm it. When we come out and say 15, we have worked very hard to be able to say, we're pretty certain we could back up that number.
Well, if they wanted to cooperate with us and be transparent, talk about it, but they don't want to do that. So we can't confirm 100% that it's true, but it's what we're told by officers, and they're there on site. They got firsthand knowledge of it. They don't like it either, but he is ruining the corrections officers by not backing them up and going and spending money, wasting money instead of giving raises. That one deal he paid, what he bought on that new building he's in, we could probably give $1,000, $2,000 raise to every employee at the Department of Corrections.
Well, Bob put another $1 million with his little uniform. Go $1 million on the uniform. Go 400,000 on office rent. Is it 400,000? 100? I said 400,000. It'd be $1 million too. Where'd I come up 4,000? $100,000 a month would be $1.2 million. I divided that wrong. Hold on, Bob. We might have to reevaluate what we said. So we 1.2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I think I got 1 2 minute zeros there.
Yeah, I think we do too.
divided by 3,600.
JJ, we got 30 seconds.
Bob, we got 5 minutes. It's 12:55. Bob, I'm doing bad math. Boom, divided by 3,600 equals. Bob, it looks like that might be $3,000. Let's try that. Let's see if that works. Boom, 3,000 times 3,600. 3,000 times 3,600.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. If he was doing his job and he was out in the prisons every day, he wouldn't need to be sitting in a nice, fancy office
Nah, it wouldn't be that much. Yeah, Bob.
that he spent so much money on so he could impress himself. But I would challenge any newspaper or any reporter to tell us where we're wrong.
I absolutely would challenge anybody to say that we're wrong, whether it be on rates. Bob, we got video of it. We've got the doctor that put together a whole emails and whistleblowers and guess what? The shower incident, the federal government's already accepted 6 out of 7 of those.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question.
It didn't happen, but it didn't happen, but we're not going to do it again.
Yeah, murders, Bob. Go talk to the medical examiner. Guess what? It ain't maybe. Go get the number from them. You don't have to take my word for it. Don't take Bob's word for it. Go to the medical examiner. I mean, do you think they don't have a record of all these stabbings? Guess what? The hospital bills. Go check the hospital bills. I mean, there's
medical is way up. I noticed that their medical is way up.
Yeah, but Bob, here's the deal. There's 1,000 ways. That's what they sit up here and lie. And there's 1,000 ways if we wanted to investigate this to confirm that they are lying and to confirm we're telling the truth. But guess what? Our government, now our Oklahoma legislators are going to sit up there and go, oh, we want to be like Donald Trump, hold these accountable, hold these agencies accountable, and start holding all these bureaucrats accountable. Guess what? They don't. They come and kill our committee that was holding them accountable. And they kill me as chairman. Why? Because I'm holding people like Harpe accountable, and they want a political. And again, it has a lot to do with money, Bob. There's a lot of who's getting what contracts and who's doing what. Bob, there's, one of the things that I'm looking into right now, and I just want to say publicly, I'm going to look into this, but that turnkey situation in these jails, Bob, I'm looking into I'm looking into these contracts that are going in jails, that are going in prisons, that are going with Harpe's buddies and Stitt's buddies, and all of these things, whether it's DHS, I'm looking all over the place. And guess what? Man, there's a lot of stones to uncover. There's a lot of problems. We have a corrupt government in Oklahoma, and it's time people stand up, call it out. Again,
it's funny you say that. JJ, I went with you for several of your town hall meetings, and that was the very thing that I was surprised that the people kept saying it all. I think I went to four town halls with you, and they all said the same thing. We're tired of corruption going on. We're tired of they investigate, but then nothing happens. Like the deal on the what was that barbecue place that had their issue. And we still don't know what happened there. They just dropped that. You ever hear anything about that?
Well, they charge the people who are private. The state, the POs had to be changed. The contracts had to be done. The money come from the state side. Do you think these guys could steal it without somebody? Guess what? Epic. The money come from state side. $55 million. You think these guys can do that without help over here from Joyce Hofschister? It ain't possible. But yet you see no charges on the state side.
Here's one. Here's one for you. They're wanting to investigate the what's his name at the education?
Ryan Walters.
Ryan Walters for spending campaign money. What he did. Now, what about when Hofmeister was in office, she was running her campaign out of a state, out of the
And I
state.
turned it in, Bob, with all kinds of evidence. Guess what?
Nothing happened.
Nothing.
Nothing happened.
And
That was
then our
Democrat.
legislators go after Ryan Walters and would not even act on that.
Yeah.
Never said a word. Crickets
Yeah.
on that.
Well, hey, I thank you for being here today, JJ, and appreciate it. And
Thank
I
you,
know
Bob.
that this has been a real busy week. I tell you, it's
Hey, y'all need to join OCP. Join OCP. Make sure you join.
well, thank you, JJ. Well, everybody have a great day, great weekend. Go to church on Sunday.
We'll do it, Bob. Catch you
We'll
later.
see you back next Friday.